tulisikia tukawa na habari pengine kutakuwa na El Niño ambayo itaharibu kule, itaharibu mali nyingine, lakini Mungu ni nani? Mmesikia wale watu wamesema tena ile El Niño haitakuweko, wamesema kutakuwa tu na mvua kubwa lakini haitafika pale ya kuharibu.
Appealing to those living in low-lying and flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds. On the other hand, we would like to urge our farmers, especially those with grains to harvest, and store their produce early, and where possible, sell to those who are willing to buy.
We know that preparedness activities have begun, but should also continue seamlessly throughout the rainfall season.
Mara wanasema kuna El Niño, mara wanasema El Niño hakuna. Sasa ile pesa mlikuwa mumeweka ya El Niño, hiyo pesa kwanza wewe anza na hao wameru wako, hiyo pesa iende mashinani, hawa mama na vijana waweke pesa, wahakikishe kwamba wanazalisha mapato iliyo sawa sawa.
Hii pesa nimetumia ya kupiga mitaro, ya kuanza kununulia watoto vitu vingine, ya kwenda waende kuhamia mahali fulani. Sasa tena they have confused me. Na wamesema tena iko mvua mingi. Sasa what is the difference between hii mvua mingi na El Niño?
Ile El Niño haitakuweko, wamesema kutakuwa tu na mvua kubwa lakini haitafika pale ya kuharibu. I have received the assurance of our CDF that will be rolled out immediately. We are also going to mobilize the National Youth Service and the engineering department at KDF. And we have also agreed with the Ministry of Roads that all the road contractors in the different parts of Kenya. Na hiyo mvua nyingi ambayo tutapata, pia tumejipanga katika hii short rains. Tumepanga pia wakulima watuzalishie chakula tena, so that we have another harvest by January or February. Na ndio niliwaeleza ya kwamba njia ya kuondoa matatizo ya njaa Kenya sio maandamano, na kama ni maandamano shambani. Will now be mobilized to provide emergency intervention services to make sure that roads are opened in different parts of Kenya. And we are going to mobilize the resources necessary to make sure that contractors on the ground in different parts of Kenya are mobilized for emergency intervention activities. Usikuwe na wasiwasi, hii Kenya tutabadilisha. Hao wanaongea wataongea tu kidogo kidogo, lakini hapo mbele watafunga mdomo na watatupigia makofi.
Tungeamua mapema, tujitayarishe, tufune sasa vizuri. Saa hii sasa hatujui hiyo mahindi tutapeleka wapi, maana imeanza kuosa kwenye
Recently, our area was affected by drought. Right now, we are suffering because of El Niño. Madam Speaker, we expected the President in his speech also to include the issue of El Niño floods, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today as we speak, 90% of our region, Madam Speaker, is completely cut off from the rest of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I know we don't have time and the provision to amend this, but Madam Speaker, we hope and we appreciate the government has declared the El Niño floods a national disaster. But Madam Speaker, that has yet to bring in any meaningful assistance to the region, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we hope the ministry is concerned, the Ministry of ASAL, Office of the Deputy President, Madam Speaker, Office of the President, the Ministry of Infrastructure, will put their house in order and ensure that the people of Northern Kenya who have been cut off completely by the El Niño floods get assistance, Madam Speaker.
Tuliita mkutano, tukaenda pale Nyayo Stadium, tukasema tunataka kumuomba Mungu kwa sababu ya mvua. Wengine wakatuchekelea wakasema angalia hawa. Lakini mwaka huu tumepata mvua ajabu. Ni kweli ama si kweli? This year, we got rains that we haven't got in the last 4 years. Kwa sababu kuomba Mungu si kazi mchezo, watu hawajui.
Last year mlitupeleka Nyayo Stadium tukaomba, watu wakatuchekelea. Wakasema sasa hao wanaombea mvua na ni mambo ya science. But did God give us rain? And we had the most bountiful harvest that we've ever seen as a country. We want to thank you for that leadership. The Bible says when the righteous rule the people.
Additionally, the Ministry of Health, working with the Council of Governors and Red Cross, will be mobilized to provide medicine commodities for water treatment, for disease management, be it cholera, malaria, and all the others that will be assessed as requirements in different parts of Kenya. The Minister for Health, who is here, has been tasked to provide leadership with the different agencies working in collaboration with the Council of Governors to make sure that health commodities are available in different parts of the country. The lead agency in making sure that all the roads, especially the trunk roads around Kenya, KENHA will provide leadership, and the Ministry of Transport and Roads will make sure that sufficient resources, human, machine, and money is available to make sure that that process is undertaken. The Ministry of Water will also work with the Council of Governors to make sure that where water infrastructure has been submerged, to ensure that there is water for drinking and for use, so that we avoid the now emerging cases of cholera in some parts, and malaria in other parts, and diarrhea in other parts of Kenya. We want to make sure that this situation is managed, and as a result, the emergency situation has necessitated Cabinet to meet on Monday as a first thing, so that we can receive the reports from this multi-agency team, process those reports, and provide intervention mechanisms to make sure that we manage this situation. The Ministry of Energy has been asked to liaise with the counties to make sure that as our dams fill up, citizens are informed across, especially in the areas that we could have overflow of dams, so that citizens are relocated early. We're informed that within the next 1 week, some of our dams will be full, and therefore there will be need for information to be made available to citizens, so that if there will be need to relocate some citizens from the downstream, that should happen ahead of time. The provincial administration has been tasked to make sure that citizens who are living in areas where there could be possibilities of mudslides are informed ahead of time, relocated ahead of time, so that we avoid unnecessary losses, as we have seen in the past, of citizens who have become victims of mudslides in Kenya. The information that we have is that rain is going to continue. Kenya is already soaked, and water will be now flowing when it rains, and therefore we run a higher risk of flooding in different parts of Kenya. Meanwhile, we are informing citizens in the short rain areas to take advantage of the fertilizers that have been made available by government, to make sure that they do their top dressing, especially in areas where we are seeing a good crop. We want to also take advantage of these rains to make sure that we produce enough food for the next season. And the Ministry of Agriculture has been tasked to make sure that where support to farmers is required, that support is made available. Meanwhile, the security situation in the country is also being affected by inaccessibility of some areas. The National Police Service under the Ministry of Interior will work with the different stakeholders and different members of the provincial administration to make sure that we secure the country even in this context. The Ministry of the Treasury has been mandated to explore different mechanisms of funding for the requirements that will be needed so that we can have adequate resources to manage the situation, and their recommendations should be presented to Cabinet on Monday for us to be able to appropriate those recommendations and provide the necessary leadership and the necessary interventions to make sure that all agencies are adequately resourced to provide emergency services across the country. I want to inform the people of Kenya that we are appropriately seized of this matter. My deputy has been consulting with different stakeholders in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We now believe that we are better prepared going into the future, especially with the coming together of the national government and county government with all the other agencies, and now having a coordinated approach under the National Disaster Operations Center to make sure that we centralize all the information coming from different parts of Kenya. We process that information and provide adequate interventions from a one government approach